Hey, let's just beat up on Andy Day, huh? That's what this is?
No, actually Sunday night football. we did that thing.
No.
That's bad.
On his,
I wouldn't have known he had
Wait, 7 kids with the same woman or?
Yes.
Wow,
They graduated Harvard together.
that's the thing.
She was a soccer player in Harvard. Yeah. More
There
than
was
I
a
ever needed to know.
What's up in the soccer water, you know? Heather was a soccer player, cute girl. Wow.
All right, are we ready?
It's time.
Is it recording already?
It's time.
Recording.
Okay.
That's what you say. All right.
I'm already ready.
All right, we'll start with the pledge and then do roll call. I pledge allegiance
To the flag
of
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. All right, Cam Hall. Here. Bob Hutchinson. Here. Dan McGregor Clark.
Here.
Tom Moses.
Here.
Andy Palmer.
Here.
Mel Perkins.
Here.
David Popolski.
Here.
Bob Reynolds.
Here.
This is excused. And we have Francesca Fonda with the son. Motion to open the November 9th, 2022 Hamburg, New York IDA Board of Directors meeting at 7:35 a.m. Thank you.
Second.
Thank you, Janet. First item on the agenda are the meeting minutes from what was it, October 19th, 2022. Motion to approve. Thank you, Bob.
Second.
Second, thank you, Janet. Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Next item on the agenda is the financial report from October 31st, 2022.
Good morning, everybody. So, this month in our income, we had $4,876.35 in administrative fees. We had interest earned of $243.07. We had interest earned on our CD of $176.77. So we had a total income of $5,296.19. With our payroll expenses and just a few little additions of postage and stuff, we ended up with $11,025.19 in total expenses. So our net expenses over income was we lost $5,729. But our total current assets in the Hamburg IDA still remain at $1,082,014.80.
So move.
No, any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Here, okay, on to my update. Following up the financial report, we did have an audit committee meeting last month, following our board of directors meeting. We reviewed the annual financials to date and had no significant findings or findings of impropriety. The fees that Bob had mentioned were for the Ford payment for 2021. I know it's ways out into 2022, but that's typical that we get it September, October. And then the reporting for the Johnson's Brewery closing. We still have KH Industries, Stop Precision Machine, and 290 Lake Street is potentially looking to reapply under a potential new owner. I'm working with that. Under project activity was that 290 Lake meeting. I also met with the Cohan Group. Is they're continuing to discuss redevelopment opportunities with the McKinley Mall site, which is great. There's a lot of interest from the investors and the owners there into, making a more productive asset there, which is great. So they're not just kind of letting it operate kind of as is. They're looking to drive some performance there.
You think there's some juice there for us?
If
Or do you not know?
potentially under adaptive reuse, so as long as it, is in line with the retail costs, there could be. So they did talk about some multifamily redevelopment opportunities there. So that's kind of what they were looking at, and putting together evaluation on.
Okay.
The CARES, we're going to do an update on the program to the town board in December. I have that scheduled. Our next board meeting is December 20. Well, we'll talk about that. Hold on a second on that. I need to schedule a meeting with Jennifer Taylorico on the hub zones. I have the data from our survey. We had our governance meeting for the SRTC board, so the Chamber of Commerce. Yes, Andy.
On the hub zone, how did that go? Was there good feedback from the community or not really?
I got feedback from about 6, so I don't know what they're looking for and what numbers, so I don't know if it's good or bad.
Okay,
So, but I do have about 6 companies that do federal procurement work or would be interested in doing federal procurement. So that was the information I was looking to have before I had a follow-up with the SBA. Chamber Board of Directors that cleanup is moving forward nicely. Our loan closed for Johnson's Brewery with the HTC, which is great. Got some funds dispersed. And under business development, I'm working with GTI Fabrication, and they are a manufacturer in Blaisdell. So I'm potentially working with them on some space needs. And last was Lavella. We had met to review the potential project in Blaisdell. We're gonna put that one, it's more of a land court project, but the rate of return just wasn't there for the investment. Especially now that interest rates are going up in terms of bank rates, CD rates. So those have become more competitive in terms of, and more risk averse in terms of where we're putting our money. So we'll kind of table that project and hopefully we can, you know, if some available funds may come about, or in the future, it might be something that we decide that we would want to proceed on. That's it. Any questions?
Just that new, build the new truck to them, where was that?
That's on Jeffrey. So all I know, it's more of a, I think it's gonna be more of like, maybe like a cross dock type of facility, so I don't know how much investment there's gonna
Like
be
in
there.
the middle of Jeffrey.
On Jeffrey near, it's kind of between Penn Dixie and the Rod and Gun Club, on that side.
That would be a pretty big building.
So 10 acres, it's a 10-acre site. I just don't know if what, you know, and again, like I think I know who's purchasing it. I don't know how much investment is gonna be there because I don't know how much of a big building it is. If it's gonna be more just truck exchanges and, you know, transfers. Versus
I mean,
like a distribution warehouse. type.
Yeah. Well,
I mean, we
you've
got
got-
that at Amazon, I'm just kind of curious, so we're putting another distribution center, I know they're big.
Well, you've got on Jeffrey, the deal we did with that, Canadian firm who makes health supplements.
Yeah, I okay.
They're over there, they have a lot of trucks in and out.
Yeah.
I mean, but they actually manufacture there. What's the other trucking place? I can't think, Andy, help me.
Modern is
No,
there.
no, across from Modern.
That would be,
That's at Wood Place?
no, the wood warehousers over there.
Yeah.
And then there's another yellow and black trucks. I don't know the name right now. Yeah,
Trucks out to you, but do I know their name? No.
Relax over there.
yeah.
Yeah. It's
But no, that's a nice sized parcel between Penn Dixie.
Yeah.
And actually, is it Demore
The
Construction?
Maury Construction, yeah, has a nice building, nice
It's
setup.
between Demore and Penn Dixie.
Yes. So I don't know if it's gonna be a $1 million building or, you know, up into, you know, for a 10-acre site, it could be a $20 million. That's what I just don't know. It's like, if it's a more of a truck in, truck out type thing, almost like, was it Southtown Trailer, Southside?
Southside trailer, yeah,
Yeah.
Faisal and all that.
Yeah. So, you know, there's not a lot of investment over there, so I just don't know that.
Well, there's so much truck traffic now, I was just curious, I mean, we're adding,
Yeah.
I mean, you go down. Coming down from the 179 and they gotta go up and down all through the village and stuff like that, I mean.
This
it's
would
adding more
be-
traffic.
They don't go-
There's,
Right.
no,
Well, they come down to both
the
sides.
Ravenwood North Compact,
Yeah,
they're supposed to use the clover leaf. So they're supposed to go down to the Ford plant, get off on Mile Strip, come around, get back on the 179 and go back to the
90, right?
the Jeffrey Boulevard
Okay.
exit.
oh,
Some companies do, others don't. And it's usually the out of town truckers. So the guys who work directly out of that terminal, they know the rules, they follow.
Right,
The guys who are coming in from out of town, they don't know.
yeah, cause that's the way it comes. to the-
I mean, they drive behind sneakers sometimes,
Yeah,
like through the field,
right.
because they're just following their GPSing.
And it's-
Quite frankly, a lot of the truck drivers, English is not their first language.
Right.
So they're not,
But there's a lot of truck traffic on that street. Sneakers
On-
and stuff.
on
I had
on-
3 trucks change, yeah.
on Maple, well, it's early morning, and they're not supposed to be on there.
I'm just saying,
They're not supposed to be on
but
there.
I just, and I'm not against it, I just wanna make sure
Yeah.
that we. The board and kind of put it out in public, so in case there's public hearings on this coming out
Yeah.
here. For the
Well,
additional truck traffic.
Back when Monty Reefler and the town came to the village to, because I mean, you grew up around here,
Yeah.
that was a dirt road
Right.
to
Nowhere.
the Rod and Gun Club.
Yeah.
And then, well, there was kind of, if you had a Jeep or 4-wheel drive, you could go up to picture.
The pits
But
may or may not have been.
when
parties there.
they came to the village to develop that. That section of Maple between Martin and the sewage treatment plant. The town has taken over 90% of the maintenance
Okay,
and repair,
that's good.
so,
No, I just caught my eye. on
yeah,
it.
no, it's,
This.
the mornings are a little cuckoo down there.
Not a truck traffic. no.
The new build industrial, Sean, what's that about? Is it preliminary, strictly preliminary?
It's strictly preliminary, it's not in the planning or anything like that, I've had a couple. The comments with the developer, but that would be more of a manufacturing. Investor in the area. About how they go. That was 100,000 feet on Southwestern. So, and again, I mean, that's contingent on you getting through planning and.
Yeah, all this is on there.
Any other questions? Okay, then we'll go on to new business. The first item on the agenda is a resolution consenting to a mortgage for the Oaks at South Park. We'll go through the resolution. Hamburg, Town of Hamburg Industrial Development Agency consenting to an assignment of mortgage, a gap mortgage, mortgage assignment of leases and rents, security agreement, financing statement, and fixture filing, and an assignment of leases and rents, and a consolidated extension, spreader modification agreement, other related documents in connection with the refinancing of the 2019 The Oaks at South Park LLC. Whereas to accomplish the purposes of said act, the agency induced the Oaks to South Park with respect to acquisition and equipping the agency with the proceeds of a lease with mortgage acquisition by the lessee of an approximately 27-acre parcel of land at 5138 South Park Avenue. It was adapted for use of a former school and redevelopment of parcels of land for construction of 19 two-story buildings of the 152 housing units. Whereas pursuant to the inducement resolution, the agency acquired a leasehold interest in the facility dated as November 1st, 2019 between the Oaks at South Park LLC as lessor and the agency as lessee. The Oaks at South Park LLC pursuant to a certain leaseback agreement dated as of November 1st between the agency as lessor and the Oaks at South Park LLC as lessee, the leaseback agreement. The agency has now received a request for the agency's consent in regard to the lessee's refinancing of the project. The lessee is not requesting additional benefits from the agency and is only seeking consent of the agency of its proposed refinance. The facility will remain a residential housing complex with additional services accordingly. There will be no change in the payment in lieu of taxes provisions attached as Exhibit C to the leaseback agreement. Now therefore be it resolved as follows. The agency hereby consents to the assignment of mortgage from S&T Bank to DPI Acres Capital LLC and the execution and delivery of a gap mortgage not to exceed $29,425,000, a mortgage assignment of leases, assignment of rents, security agreement, financing statement, and fixture filing, in the amount not to exceed $26,401,226. An assignment of leases and rents and a consolidated extension spreader and modification agreement in an amount not to exceed $29,425,000 and other related documents between 2019, the Oaks at South Park LLC project and DPI Acres Funding Incorporated with respect to the agency and the leaseback agreement as amended. The execution and delivery of refinance documents in the form approved by the chairman, vice chairman, executive director, and secretary is hereby authorized. The appropriate officers of the agency are hereby authorized to execute, seal, acknowledge, and deliver such certificate. The agency determines that the pilot provisions shall remain unchanged as there is no change in the use or occupancy of the facility. And the Oaks at South Park LLC agrees it will pay all agency administrative fees and legal fees due at closing. This resolution shall take effect immediately.
So moved.
Thank you, Cam.
Second.
Thank you, Andy. On the question? All in favor? Opposed? Thank you.
Sean, there was just a typo on the first page. You said 29 million and it said 29,000.
Oh, I'm sorry.
We just gotta make sure that.
Oh, right. Thank you. Okay, so there was a question that came up, and I believe that the email is in your meeting packet from the town assessor regarding, as projects close, there's a question regarding, challenging the valuation. So if a pilot, lessee, a pilot company, someone that's receiving the benefits, they have the right, as with anyone, like with star benefits or any type of tax exemption that you have on your property, is eligible for challenge or assess value through the assessor. His comment was that if they are an inactive pilot, that they should not be able to challenge the valuation. And I understand his comments. If we would choose to have a clause like that, it would actually be a modification of state law. So I would think that, it's beyond our power.
Ready to do that, Jen?
So here we go.
Comment completely, but it's out of our control, unless you wish to go to the state legislature and ask them to change the law.
Yeah, we could appeal to the state legislature, as Janet had mentioned. Beyond that, I mean, we have the authority to terminate a pilot. So typically, when a commercial use project is challenging a valuation, they typically lost their tenant, they've changed operations, which in our mind would be a material breach of the pilot language, promoting the employment, manufacturing XYZ, if they continue to stop doing that and turn into, an indoor sports training facility, well, that's retail. So we would then reconvey, we would terminate the project. So we would then step away. And this actually does stem from the assessor's experience in another municipality where there was a manufacturing industrial facility, they lost their tenant, and then they wanted to revalue because they had no cash flow, and were having trouble paying the bills. In that regard, I don't know what happened, if the pilot was terminated, again, it was a different municipality, but that's kind of, I would say, I don't know.
Yeah, there are no situations where a taxpayer or property owner has to forfeit their right to challenge a value in order to get an exemption. That just doesn't happen. Even if you go to court, let's say they get a lawsuit and we had a stipulated assessment in that case, and then that tenant moves out and the building goes vacant. There are certain parts of the law that preclude them from coming back. However, that's one where it doesn't. If the building goes vacant, they can come back and challenge the assessment again, even if that's 726, a real property tax law. So there are no situations, and number one, we're not an assessing unit. There's no reason for us to get into into the process of valuing the property, because that's a path we don't want to go down. And I'll tell you, there's some areas in the state that they would put some tremendous number on that would nullify any benefit given to the taxpayer. I've seen enough throughout New York State to know better.
But,
Okay.
in general, though, our pilots are still just based on a percentage, right? Of the assessed, right? So,
Right,
I mean, if, I'm just using an example. So if they got their assessment to come down, other than loss of jobs and stuff like that, for whatever reason, our pilot would go down accordingly.
Correct.
Correct.
right,
Right,
because the
so we're
population
based
is-
on that, that's our balance, right?
It just flies with it. It's no different than a 45B exemption, if you want to think of it that way. And the taxpayer or the property owner doesn't have to do what their right to challenge an assessment of the 45B. So
Yeah, we're still.
I think this is a point we don't really need to discuss much further.
Okay. All right, yeah.
Motion,
I said
whatever you
everything.
need a motion.
No, we're not gonna
It's
take
open
any
discussion.
action, and that was that.
Okay.
The next item, I will put forth, was a comment about changing, from Mr. Reynolds, about changing the December 2022 meeting from,
I would like to make a motion
thank
to
you,
the board that we change the December 21st meeting, 7:30 a.m. at Blaisdell Village Hall to December 14th, the Wednesday before, at 7:30 a.m. at Blaisdell Village Hall, and put it out on the website if the board so. That's my motion.
Works for me.
Second,
On the question,
Sure.
it says it's December 14th on the,
oh, hang on, no, that's the 2023 meeting schedule.
okay, all right, I'm mixed up. I'm sorry, excuse me.
Kind of change the next meeting date.
Okay, all in favor, December 14th, 2022. All in favor,
Aye.
opposed? Okay, that's carried. On to the 2023 meeting schedule. As presented.
Motion to approve.
Thank you, Bob. Thank you, Bob. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That is carried.
So the public knows all meetings are right here at the Village Hall. So that's otherwise it's more.
Okay,
Damn.
thank you. And the next item is 2022 Hamburg IDA staff year-end payments. Under new business. You want me to table that and we can get to unfinished business? We'll do that. Okay. So unfinished business, we did roll up the questions that we had regarding Pitch Hamburg's application. I provided that to the director. Likely we'll review that for the board comments in the executive committee, which will likely be held in December. So we'll carry that until, we determine if we want to take some action or not. So that's the most recent update. I don't know if you have.
Were there any other comments that people wanted to suggest about maybe how to handle this in the future? We kind of left it open at the last meeting, looking for ideas.
Yeah, like what was the marching orders we got? Yeah, was it? Come back with
So-
a more precise plan to address some of these points?
Yeah, that was it. That was it. I wanted more of a, an application that, first of all, as we had talked about, any not-for-profit or anyone seeking assistance from the IDA in line with our mission. That's a primary criteria, right? So, I just don't want to get calls from worthwhile organizations, but they're not necessarily in line with our mission. But with that, so we collated the board had a number of questions. I collated that, submitted it back to Pitch Hamburg, and there were, so it was various organizations of the board arrangements, the financial controls, the legal filings and information. So, and I believe there are some more.
I think it'd be helpful if Anna knew that she could reach out to Jennifer if you had questions about, if Anna's pursuing something for Pitch. Does it fall within the legal permission, the legal authority of the, like, I'd hate for her to put something else together. We go, well, you can't do that either, right? Like, does she have
Okay, I'll extend that invitation, thank you.
As a financial part of this too, I think that this board better. See how they wanna put a line. Potential line in the budget for the upcoming year.
Yeah, that's a good point.
2023, either in December, we could do it as late as January. But we should have a budget line here, just whether we use it or not. So we can keep track of how our budget's going.
Don't we have a sponsorship line?
I don't know if you want to call this.
2,500 a year or something.
Yeah, I don't know if you want to call it sponsorship, that's the thing.
Well, we have to decide what we're doing.
Right.
Are we going to sponsor activities or are we outright handing them a
Yeah.
check?
I think. we need
I
to-
think,
A case by case.
Yeah.
Request by request. basis.
so we might,
We decided to.
we might as
The
well
executive
put,
director should come back with a
Yeah.
budget line, how, whether it's under sponsorship, where he would like to see some money placed in. Potentially, if we're gonna use it, just so we have it on our budget line going forward. That's just my point. Go ahead, Andy. I'm not the boss.
No, that's, I was waiting for Sean, but he's not even looking my way.
He's right on
No,
yours.
So I did submit comments. I don't know if anybody looked at them or not, but one of those is, I wonder if we create a budget line item for program initiatives. In a yearly budget format. So it's money that's allocated under program initiatives, which doesn't have to be just Pitch Hamburg, but can be used in Pitch Hamburg or not used. If it's not legal within our purview of what we need to do as an agency, we just don't do it, but the money's allotted.
Yeah, I think we've talked about doing more from a marketing, business development perspective for years since I've
Right.
been on this board. This is just a great vehicle to do it, right?
But we get the people out, but just make sure we have. it. So I can,
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? In
Funds
other
to
words,
allocate,
right,
yeah.
so in other words.
Okay.
and even though we allocate funds, if the right program doesn't come up and we don't use them, we don't use them.
Exactly.
Mhm.
It's not an obligatory,
It's not like,
Budget.
ooh, we got this, we gotta spend it.
it's not the federal government. Use it or lose it, baby. Personal experience.
Okay, so I'm gonna jump to privilege of the floor, we do not have, and then you do want to, the next item is 2020. Oh, yes,
Sorry,
ma'am.
any news on the DIR grant? Probably not with the election and all that. Okay.
No. That was the Blaisdell Restore New York application, is that what you're referring to?
Yes, sir.
Thanks. Next item, 2022 HIDA staff year-end payments.
If we go to executive
Session, okay.
Well, were we intending on taking action on that today, or was that a December action?
No, the executive. Payments and.
We could move the executive to the end and then have a
To
motion in December.
yeah, I'm okay, the only, just for clarification, the year-end payments of the 401k, those are outlined in the contract, so there's no action needed. If there be any type of performance or year-end bonus payable to the staff, there would have to be action today.
Actually, you just changed the board meeting, so it wouldn't matter now, because you just changed the.
Oh, so yeah, we can do it, yeah, so there's no action needed today. If the board would like to discuss, you know, they have the pleasure to go into executive session. But no action due to the meeting change, we could still provide an action in December and it would hit 2022 taxes.
I would suggest we have the executive after the land development corp.
Okay.
Since you're the.
And then we can adjourn the meeting. Okay.
If you end this meeting and go into the second meeting, you're done with the IDA meeting.
Well, he's the head of both organizations, so we're just.
Can we suspend this?
We could spend this meeting.
Motion to suspend this meeting. To return to go into
I
executive
don't
session.
see it the same way. Okay.
There's a funds are coming out of the IDA.
Right.
Budget. Not
Correct.
the land development board.
Can we just suspend this meeting then?
Yeah. Motion to suspend IDA meeting at 8:03 a.m.
And we will reconvene after the LDC.
Okay, that was a
Second.
motion second by Andy. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?